A pleasant good evening. It's Tuesday, the 11th day of February in the year 2025. My name is Christopher Jones. Thanking you for joining me on another edition of Whip-Lash. On tonight's program, a new poll reveals that the People's Progressive Party Civic will lose the 2025 general and regional elections. To help us break this down this evening, I have two special guests, no stranger to you on social media. I have joining me Miss Coretta McDonald, Member of Parliament, and there she is, Member of Parliament, and of course the Shadow Minister of Education in the Parliament. And very shortly, we will be joined by former Minister of Housing and Water, Annette Ferguson, Member of Parliament. Coretta McDonald, pleasant good evening to you.
Well, pleasant good evening to you, Chris, and thank you for having me on your program. You know, usually I'm host.
That's correct. That's correct.
I'm a guest.
We just essentially switch responsibility this evening.
Yeah, and you know, Chris, it's so good to be here. As a matter of fact, you noticed my head where I had to go get this done in observance of Black History Month. And you know, quite a lot of things have been happening in terms of lots of what we had happening there, electricity, creating this, creating that, airplanes, and so on. So much to celebrate, but yet we don't hear about all of these things. They're always on the low key. But it's good to be proud of who you are. And so here I am with my headdress, you know.
And a lovely headdress indeed. And of course, a Black History Month greetings to you and all of viewers out there as well.
Thank you much.
All right. So, Coretta, I know not too long ago you got home, and I know Annette Ferguson is most likely still on her way home, having left that very important briefing that we were engaged in all day today. Mm-hmm. And that is as it relates to this new poll, that the results are here. And of course, I must warn the viewers that on tonight's program, we will be sharing with you some of the revelations from that poll, some information we cannot share because of political reasons, and so forth. But as we go through the discourse this evening, we will bring you information on what that poll has revealed. But one thing that is most important that we must mention from the outset is this poll has revealed that the People's Progressive Party Civic is poised to lose the 2025 general and regional elections. Coretta, your thoughts on that?
Well, Chris, you know, in support of that poll, before I say yes or no, in support of that poll, let me say this. We have been waiting, and we're still waiting to receive the census report. And the fact that that is being hidden from us, it says a whole lot. And so the poll that is out now, it shouldn't be alarming. People should not be surprised, because when we look across this country, in every single region, in every single village, you are seeing what they're writing on the wall. Let me say that you're seeing the writing on the wall, which is saying that the PPP did not do this, they did not do that, a whole lot of empty promises, a whole lot of photo ops, and nothing behind it. And so the poll is just an indication of where people are at this time with the installed PPP. You know, they don't like when you call them installed, but they're installed. And exactly. So I don't want to say that I'm happy. I want to say that I knew this was going to happen.
Mm-hmm. But you know, and the signs are there. And I want to take the viewers back to just last week, Thursday, when we had the rantings by Barry Jack Dio, his usual Thursday rantings. And in those rantings, it was very clear, because what we saw playing out is what we saw in the lead up to the 2011 elections, as well as the 2015 2015 elections,
Mm-hmm.
in which he sought to attack everyone. We heard him refer to Glenn Lal, the publisher of the Kaichur News, as Klong Lal. We saw him made mention about Glenn Lal being associated with human trafficking and a drug dealer.
And a
We saw
murderer.
him making comments about Mr. Terence Campbell, and the list goes on.
Mm-hmm.
And striking, as I mentioned, in the lead up to the 2015 elections, as well as the lead up to the 2011 elections, this was his posture.
Well, Chris, if you've been observing Bharat Jagdeo the way, if persons have been observing him the way we have been observing him, then it's easy for us to come to that conclusion. When Bharat Jagdeo, every time Bharat Jagdeo recognizes that his back is against the wall and he has no escape route, his only route out is to start the cuss out.
Yeah.
And the fact now that he is going after persons, he's calling your names openly,
Yeah.
and he's saying the things that he is saying, it is saying to you that the man is going crazy. Well, not going crazy, he's getting more crazy, if I can say that. And because he doesn't have answers to all that is happening. And so when people stand up out there and they speak out against him, then that's his response to him. But his responses now are more intense, if you notice.
Oh,
so
yeah.
he isn't sparing, not even the little dog is not going to be spared. Come Thursday, man, the dog and the cat's gonna be in for it.
Exactly.
And the thing is, what we should recognize, and I'm hoping the Guyanese public are recognizing this, is that as long as you are an influential person, and Jagdeo recognize that you can swing things anywhere, he's even more after you. But the polls have said that to us. And
Exactly.
so all we need to do now is to keep the polls going, and then we'll see exactly what is going to be, how many seats they're going to have in Parliament come the next time around.
Exactly. All right, viewers. So we are joined now by Annette Ferguson, former Minister of Housing and Water, Member of Parliament. Annette Ferguson, I explained to the viewers that yourself, Coretta, and quite a few number of us spent almost the entire day being debriefed on the results from this poll. So I tendered an excuse for you that you are likely on your way home. So Annette, I'll have from you your opening thoughts on the polls, which essentially reveals that the People's Progressive Party Civic in the 2025 general and regional election are poised to lose those elections.
Well, Christopher, even before I go there, permit me to extend bless good. Good night.
All right. I think, Annette, your audio, I don't know, correct, is it the same with you?
Yes, same.
Yeah. Annette, your audio, we're losing your audio.
You're hearing me now?
Yes, we are.
Okay. So I was saying, permit me to say to your viewers and listeners on this platform.
All right. Okay. So, all right. So, Annette, I'll have to give you a pause. We're still having a problem with your audio. So I'll ask the technical people to just aid you so we can correct that. So, Coretta will continue the conversation. Let me now just quickly go to, or should I ask you, one of the, because they're essentially, correct me if I'm right, is 40 points in the poll. Tonight we're going to share. I think we
can share a few tonight.
Yeah, we have 8. I don't know how many. Well, we were given 8 that we can share, and of course on subsequent program we will continue to bring you the others. But yes. Coretta, you go ahead.
Well, Chris, even before I share the 8, which I think the public by now they're fully aware of, this poll and all of the I think this was a fantastic exercise, and to have had us drawn into that by public, by private citizens, businessmen, what should I say? Not reasonably rich businessmen, but businessmen who have got a lot of influence in this country when it comes to wealth. to have them sit with us there or invite us to that sitting, it is saying that they too are under the pressure and they can't deal with it anymore. And so one of the first issue that they looked at was that of that very detrimental word to the speaker, that word that is so annoying to the speaker, that word that pierces the heart of the speaker, that C word. That was one of the first one that they looked at. And they asked, in that poll, it asked, how corrupt is the installed regime? And the reports coming out from that poll says 88% very corrupt. 12% said that they are corrupt.
Yeah.
Now, 88%.
So essentially, it's a total.
88% saying that they are corrupt. No,
right.
No, that carries the game. The game is over.
Yeah. The 88% says that the current administration is very corrupt.
Very corrupt.
And whereas 12% says they're corrupt. So that's 100%. Essentially, whether you're very or you're corrupt, it's corruption.
It's corruption. And Chris, if you'd allow me, I would put an S to it.
And that is the point, because we have been seeing for the past several months different revelations. Whether it's government ministers whose children, whose spouses, who have companies, shell companies that are getting these contracts and so forth. You could expound on that.
Well, Chris, if we're to start from the most recent, we have been talking, my colleague Annette, she was talking a whole lot about the corruption in the housing sector and the land distribution sector. And we've seen that just last week. We saw resignation with immediate effect. And so then you would want to go for the long haul of it. If you have a contract, then you would want to live out that contract. But for an employee to resign with immediate effect, that got to be something wrong. And that was in the housing ministry. We heard about the complaints when it came to the houses that were built. And we've seen lots and lots of these houses are just there, vines growing all over them. And the kinds of monies that are being called, persons are paying. Let me start with the house lots. Persons are paying for house lots. Some have paid 3 years, 2 years, a year and a half, and they still can't see the house lot. They only got a piece of paper, they can't see it. And then when you ask questions, then you're being thrown flat on your face. So corruption there, they can't give account for those people's money. And then when we move from that, we had the big scandal with the pension books and the disability books. You remember that? Again, we had resignation with immediate effect. And then we had this signing off of the millions of US with eggs on the audit. You remember that one?
Yes.
And all the young man got was a pat on the arm, on the hand, 15 days suspension. And then we saw the shell companies, and we still have the shell companies. We are seeing corruption amongst all the infrastructural work that they're putting up there. All the hundreds of millions. Example, Critic got how much? 1 inch so short $1 billion. And no work done there, but monies were paid.
Yeah.
And the list continue to go on and on and on. But I'll allow my colleague, Chris, if you allow me, I'm going to take over your program. But I'll allow my colleague Annette to throw in our bit there. Annette, with the corruption, where 88% of the people are saying that the PPPC, the install regime, they are very corrupt.
Yeah. Good night, Chris. You're hearing me?
Yes, we're hearing you.
Good night, Coretta. I'm so happy to be on your program.
I don't know. Annette, I don't know. It appears that
she used to be at work.
Yeah, it's something with when you start, then the audio goes.
But I am hearing you guys quite clearly, so I don't know what is happening from my end. Probably the PPP, they're aware that Ferguson is coming down on this program, and they're trying to
The
sabotage.
three.
And right,
It's the three.
and
It's
right
the
there,
three.
right there, we heard your entire comment just now. So do exactly what you just did, and perhaps that might work.
You hear me now?
We heard you when you were back, just
Like,
right from there. Go ahead.
you hearing me?
Yes.
Yes,
A little better, please.
I do agree that there's heavy corruption under this People's Progressive Party system. And it's not only us, the politicians, that have been saying this, even right thinking, right minded guys, they're also speaking out that this is the worst that they've ever seen the People's Progressive Party say. And the poll is right. The poll is right. People's Progressive will lose the 2025 election. That is why they're operating.
Sorry.
They're attacking.
I think Annette, I think okay. So what I'm picking up when you're going very slow, we get you very clear. But when you
Okay.
go very fast, it becomes audible. It's not
Oh.
audible. Then it becomes not audible.
Okay, so you're getting me now better.
Yeah, when you're very slow.
Okay, I was saying to you,
Oh my, no, sorry, Annette. Sorry, we gotta send you. We send you back to the studio and ask the guys them again. Sorry about that. My apologies.
Maybe Annette could switch her devices.
Yeah, or switch your device perhaps.
All right.
Yeah. All right. So viewers, my apologies. We'll give former Minister Annette Ferguson a time to get her device sorted out. For those of you just joining the program, we are here tonight, special edition of Whip-Lash. A new poll has revealed that the People's Progressive Party Civic is poised to lose the 2025 elections. A total of 45 questions were asked, various persons across several regions. And again, we cannot reveal those regions on this program, but several regions, the survey was done. A total of 15,827 persons. Let me see, 15,827 persons were surveyed, and these are some of the results of the survey. Earlier on tonight's program, Coretta McDonald did reveal that one of the questions that was asked is how corrupt do you view the People's Progressive Party Civic? Either very corrupt or not so much. And the results of that reveals that 88% of persons who were surveyed stated 88% that were surveyed said that the People's Progressive Party Civic is very corrupt. And we have 12% who just say corrupt, totaling 100. So whether you're very corrupt or corrupt, it's a total of 100% corrupt. And again, this was a survey that was done across Guyana, and some 15,827 persons answered the questionnaire. Back to you, Coretta.
Well, Chris Barajagio is going to come and he's going to say, nonsense, 15,000 something persons. What nonsense is that? Look at the amount of persons we have voting there. That's just of the persons. But this is only saying to you that we have not done this across the country in every region. And we have not gone, this survey did not go into a full region. It was just samples that were taken from parts in about 4 or 5 regions, if so many at all. So we still have this is still a work in progress, and you will have a full thing. But I think I know what Barajaglu is going to say. I'm not sure if he's going to be here on Thursday, because Chris, I must say this before we go on. I recognized just last night that the president and the vice president, they're out of the country. I know in previous years during the coalition's term in office, and even when the PNC were in office, and maybe earlier up in the PPP's reign in office, just like about 92, somewhere there, every time the head of state leaves, you have the prime minister being sworn in as the president. But I have not been seeing that. we seem to have a prime minister who, according to Sherrod, is just PM, 1 p.m., 2 p.m., 3 p.m., 4 p.m., and not prime minister for real. You don't ever see this man being sworn in to act as president. And there are times when if he's out, somebody else is sworn in to act as president. And sometimes he's right here and somebody else is sworn in to act as president. So I really don't, I'm trying to figure out what is the real function of the prime minister, whether he's the PM as in clock PM, or whether he's just a rubber stamp. And I hear persons say during our little walkabouts, and so you hear persons saying, well, he worse than Sam Hines, he's just a rubber stamp.
Yeah.
And that's serious, Chris. That's serious. Because if the president is out, then the prime minister is the next person. But it just go to show you that the PPP, they don't have respect for a certain set of people. They have no respect, absolutely no respect and regard for a certain set of people. But they got to work that out. We know what is right.
Once they're able to make the money, that is the main thing. I'll take you now to question number 2. That question was asked, the oil money reaching the people of Guyana.
Well, oil money reaching the people of Guyana. In that one, on the survey, when that part was completed, it said 83% of the people were saying oil money not reaching them. And that's a fact. We know that. You know that, Chris, and I know that, because it's not even reaching you or me, more so the ordinary Guyanese people. 83% said that. 17% said it's reaching. So we have 83% there saying it's not reaching. 17% said yes. Well, of course, Chris, you and I know who those the 17% make up: the diamond ballers, the shell companies, the contractors, all those who getting contracts, and the relatives and so on of government ministers and so on. They can say yes because
exactly.
It's reaching them.
But even like, for example, the basic thing that they put out last year, which was the $100,000 cash grant. Of course, the pronouncement by Irfan Ali at the time was for $200,000 per household. And to use his words, it will be paid out instantaneously. And it was only until after the opposition of several political parties raised objections.
Maybe you need to say to us what instantaneously means.
Correct. In PPP's term, what does it mean in PPP term? And then we were told by Jagdeo and several ministers that the cash grant will be paid out by December. So you had a whole host of Guyanese, because of how Guyanese traditionally do their Christmas, who went to several of the higher purchase stores and purchased a whole bunch of things on the thinking that they will get this cash grant and they will be able to offset those payments. The year has come to an end. The new year has since begun. Then they were told early January you will get this cash grant. We're now in the month of February, and Guyanese are still waiting. And according to the Prime Minister in the Parliament last week, Guyanese are happy.
So, Chris, today marks 129 days since that announcement. 129 days today for the distribution of the cash grant instantaneously. 129 days. And the majority of Guyanese are still waiting to receive those monies. I noticed 2 or 3 days ago, persons were sent to Lombard Street to receive their cash grant.
Yeah.
I didn't know that was that we had that government entity at that particular location. But maybe that's another government entity, since the persons were sent there. But this just goes to show how corrupt this government is. And I need to bring this in. Just, that the teachers were on 75 days industrial action. 75 days. The PPP had no monies then to pay the teachers. The teachers were asking for $12 billion to give them a reasonable increase in salaries. They couldn't find $12 billion. But then the president went to Parliament just a month after the agreement was signed, and he was able to talk about $60 billion, that they have $60 billion to roll out, and they couldn't find $12 billion to give to our teachers. And so this should say to you how this government view ordinary Guyanese people. But they're going to come, Chris, they're going to come around now. They're going to come to offer you this and that and all kinds of things. Guyanese brothers and sisters, when they come, collect it. It belongs to you.
Exactly. All right. I see Annette is attempting to get back in. Let's hope that she does before the conclusion of the program. I'll take you now to the conversation, the questionnaire, in terms of healthcare in Guyana. And they had asked the persons who were surveyed to rate Guyana's healthcare, whether it is good, whether it is poor, or whether it is bad. We have 52% of Guyanese, or 52% of the persons who were surveyed, said that it's good. We have 39% says that it's poor, and we have 9% says that it is bad. So it is essentially healthcare is there on the borderline. And this takes us back to the recent outreach in Timmery, in which we saw the doctor there revealing to Irfan Ali and several of the ministers the fact that our health center doesn't have the basic, very basic medication for the people there, and the condition in which the nurses and so forth have to work in, overflowing toilets and so forth. And then you keep questioning this yourself. Here is a country with the fastest growing economy in the world. We just passed a budget for $1.382 trillion. And the health center, and a health center here now is in Region 4, part of the most predominant region, the region that hosts the capital city. So it's not in a case that you could say, well, it's a far-flung health hut in which getting the medication and otherwise there is a challenge. This is right in Region 4, and they don't have the basic medication.
But Chris, before we talk about the polls there, I saw 2 or 3 weeks ago a health center being declared open, being commissioned in the hinterland. A wooden building, 1 flat, $16 million. And so I was asking the question when I heard the doctor speaking about what's happening at Timmery there. It begs the question from me that, hey, we got health centers that we are not upgrading, but we're always rushing off to build new health centers. I don't have a problem with new health centers being commissioned, but we have health centers that can service a whole lot of people, but we are not upgrading them as basic as a blade. You don't have there, but you're rushing off to build a new one. Whereas if you had upgraded there, then that would be fixed. So you don't even have to go there for another 3 or 4 years. And
Correct.
Then you can venture out to build a new one. While we can also consider, distance here and distance there and distance everywhere. Why wasn't this done since 2021 or in 2022? Why are you doing that now in 2025?
Yeah.
When last year's budget was 1.146 trillion. Huh? Why couldn't we put up that health center now? And that's why I said earlier that we will see all kinds of magics happening now. You'll get health center, you can get ambulances, you can get, we might have a bus service for school children, and to pick up nurses,
Yeah.
in 2025, just before the elections. But Chris, Annette is on here, so I think...
Annette, you hearing us?
Yes, I'm hearing you guys loud and clear. I don't know if you guys are hearing me now.
All right, so we can hear you, but you can join in the
me.
conversation on the questionnaire that asked the question about healthcare in Guyana, and the persons who were surveyed were asked to rate the health services in. Yeah, Annette, you hear me? Annette? It's not a good night.
If she wants to join,
it's not a good night here.
Join using our phone, see if she gets up.
Yeah. So Coretta, we set this up. So the health center again has just been given billions of dollars, but this these percentage here essentially puts it on the borderline. It is almost 50% bad, but it says 50%, 52% rather, when rating Ghana's health services. 52% of the Guyanese that were surveyed, it says that it's good, 52%. 39% says poor, and 9% says it's bad. That is the figure as it relates to the health center. And then the questionnaire went on to ask those persons who were surveyed, if given the opportunity to migrate, how many of you would migrate? We have 41% says yes, and we have 59% says no. Now, this is telling. Despite the corruption, the health services, and so forth, Guyanese want to remain here. And is likewise if you ask the question of many of the Guyanese who are currently in the diaspora, you ask them if given the opportunity to return home, if they would, and they would quickly say yes. But there are certain basic things that they can get where they are now that they can't get here. A livable wage, proper health services, they feel safe, and so forth. So this is telling as well, again, for the viewers out there, or perhaps those persons who've just joined us, we are going through some of the questions that were asked in a survey that was done across the country, and some 15,827 persons were surveyed. And the questions vary. A total of 42 questions were asked, and we're just going through just a few of them. So just let me quickly do a recap for those who may have just joined the program. When it comes to corruption, how corrupt is the administration, the People's Progressive Party Civic Administration? In that question, the results are very corrupt. 88% of Guyanese who were surveyed says that the People's Progressive Party Civic is very corrupt. Corrupt, 12%. So if you put those two together, essentially it's 100%. The second question was asked, is the oil money reaching the people of Ghana? 83% of the persons surveyed said no, while 70% says yes. Healthcare, how would you rate Ghana's health services? 52% of the persons who were surveyed says that the healthcare is good. 39% says poor, and 9% says bad. And the fourth question was asked, if given the opportunity to migrate, 41% of the persons who were surveyed says yes, they would, while 59% said no. That's telling.
Well, you know, Chris, the thing is, like you rightfully said, Guyanese want to remain at home. They want to develop their country.
Correct.
But in the midst of wanting to stay here to develop your country, the resources are not made available to you. Yeah. The kinds of amenities that you want to have here, they're not made available to you. While 59% said they will remain, and 41% are saying, well, we will go. I'm sure those persons, though, that 49, they're saying, well, I would probably not go to the US. I might go to Trinidad, or I might go to Jamaica, or I might probably migrate to Canada or somewhere there. But the 59 there is saying to us that we want to stay and build our land. Yeah. We want to stay here and live like bona fide Guyanese, not like second-class citizens, and that is why we want to stay at home. But you know what? We are going to ensure that we put systems in place to ensure that
correct. All right. So viewers, it appears that we... Oh, Coretta, you're there.
Yes, I am not sure what is happening here. I was saying the 3 just now, but it seems as if they belong to the 2 now.
Yes. Go ahead. Finish your point.
Yes. So I was saying the 59, they're saying, we're going to fix this. We're going to fix this. We are going to fix this. And we're going to encourage others to help us fix this. So we are going to be bona fide citizens in our own country. We must be able to apply for house lots and get them. We must be able to go to the banks and apply for a loan and get it without being hassled. We must be able to access health care. We must be able to access education and everything else that is being offered in this country, because this country belongs to us. So it brings us back to where we used to be at one time. When you see 59% is saying that we will remain here, it is showing how loyal and patriotic our citizens are. And so I guess some of them are singing, this land is my land, this land is your land, from the Rupununi to the quarantine, and I want to build this land that belongs to me. I'm sure that those are the words that are spinning in their minds, and that is why they're saying they want to remain here.
And I know Annette too would want to stay here on this program and contribute. Annette, could you hear us? Are you hearing us now?
Chris, you sound like the speaker just now.
Hearing you.
I have no idea what is happening, Annette. Go ahead. All right, so Annette is going to try there. So we're going to head into the other question, but on the same points that you made, just yesterday we saw a Travis Chase interview with two young men who allegedly worked with Western Logistics, one of the company providing services for the various oil companies. They are alleging that the current minister, Indar, they are alleging that he has ties to that company, whether it's his company, whether it's he is a director or so forth. But apart from that, we'll get to that just now. But what is striking again, and this is nothing new, is the fact that one of them revealed that while being in the custody of the police, he was told that he will have to be held for 72 hours. But then he revealed that his wife attempted on 2 occasions to bring him meals and so forth, and she was denied. Quoting him, the police told her that he's not allowed any visitors and so forth. That is not norm. And then he spoke about when he was at home, persons turn up at his home wanting him to come down. They didn't identify themselves as member of the police force or anything of such, but essentially that they're there to speak with him and whatnot. Now, this is what has been occurring most recently, but this is a pattern when the PPP is in office, going back all the way back to Jagdeo days in office, in which you have certain elements within the Guyana police force who are politically directed and instructed. You had case in point, Rickford Burke, there in the US, in which a police officer from Guyana, not being granted the requisite permission from the United States Authority, turned up there purporting to wanting to serve him in the US, a US citizen, and so forth. I had my own incident home in which the police turned up. The court issued a restriction restricting them from entering or removing any item from my home. They breached that, and they went about doing, and this is the normal pattern. We had far back as Mr. Paul Slow, when he was a member of the police force, being given a specific instruction and failing to carry that instruction. We saw what happened to him, and the list goes on. And oftentimes we say to people, this is the pattern, this is the norm of the People's Progressive Party Civic.
That's how they operate.
They use you as a useful utensil. When they are finished with you, they dispose of you.
Out the door.
Out the door. And we had so many persons who cross floors and head over that side. They parade them on the National Communications Network. They parade them in the Guyana Chronicle, or to quote Sherrod Duncan, the Chronicle, and all of this. And when that election cycle is over, They're tossed to
That's it.
they're tossed to the corner.
That's it.
My good friend, a former member of the Ghana Youth and Student Movement, very close with the family, Dave Danny Jr., leading into the 2020 elections, himself and father, career members of the PNC, had switched and went to the PPP. They were paraded on all sorts of interviews and so forth, and spoke glowingly of their expectations with the PPP. A few months after the PPP is in office, they were out the door. Another case in point is Dr. Stanley Paul, my good friend, very good friend. We worked very tirelessly during our period in opposition, and he switched sides, and now he's back with the PNC. And I can name so many persons. Even to now, people ask me just recently, whatever happened to Africa Selman? Where is Africa? I'm told, we don't know, but it's a pattern that they use you and then they dispose of you.
Mm-hmm.
When last have you heard from Mr. Brutus of the Ghana Police Force? Case in point, right there at the top, right, executing whatever instructions willy-nilly. I don't know if you were with me, but we had a sit down with the top brass of the Ghana Police Force with then opposition leader Joseph Harmon. And I recall when we went into Evilary, all of the goodly gentlemen were spread across the table.
I remember that.
Right. But there was this one individual who seemed, they got the saying, your face looked like when cow boss rope. His posture was very telling. And when we left the meeting, I started querying from colleagues who were with me at that gathering. And I said, what is this? Who's this individual? What is the problem? And they too said that I noticed how he faced range up, like he vexed and we asked him certain questions and so forth. You know who was that person?
My very good friend.
Mr. Brutus. Yeah, Mr. Brutus. And I mean, Coretta, you've been around the hustings of this country for many years, likewise myself. And I tell people, we see it so often. And that is why what we see playing out right now with the Ghana Daily News, with Bharat Jagdeo, and so forth is a telltale. It's a telltale. This is exactly what we saw leading into the 2015 elections. This poll is nothing new because we know the PPP conducts poll quite so often, and they know the results. And based on the results of those polls that the PPP have done, that is how you see them going into certain communities, because the poll says to them that you don't have support here, and that's why you see them flooding certain communities and so forth. The traditional stronghold, the people there know exactly what we know, that they are very corrupt. That they are very corrupt. It's like you ask yourself the question with these PPP ministers and so forth, how much is enough? How much you done take? How much you done thief? How much is enough?
And how much more you want? And how much more you want to
want?
And Chris, while you're saying that, just today I was when I left you folks, I was giving a lift to two comrades to go to the park, and we had to. One said she had to pick up something on Middle Street, so I turned there, and then the big conversation came up. It's when Nandilal work to get the big bill, get money for build the big building. So I had to say to them, don't forget, monies usually come in barrels. So I figure monies came in barrel for him. But Chris, while we talk about how they use you as a utensil, we must not forget the RoboCops and the Toots and the Marai and the Fraser and don't forget Kozerki.
Oh yes.
Yes. We can't forget those, because those were the people that they had there doing this and doing that. There was another dark-skinned guy that had to, from the police force, that had to run. He was very feared among citizens. A dark-skinned one. His name is just slipping me. But these were the men who were used to terrorize
communities, entire
across
communities.
This country. All over, from Berbice to Linden to Essequibo, all over, they were used as utensils to terrorize our people. And then when the PPP were finished with them, they lose them wild. And
Mm-hmm.
so Toots had to run out of this country.
Mm-hmm.
Mariah had to run out of this country. Well, Fraser dead. We know who killed Fraser.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and the list go on and on. Kazerki was handcuffed to a bed, and then the next thing you know, Kazerki fall off a bed, broke his wrist, and all kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And nothing happened. Nothing happened there. We
Exactly.
know the good story of the very good funeral parlor that we had, that they said story,
Andy,
you know, and
Ashton, and
so,
Debbie.
and then the next thing you know, these persons were placed before the courts and all kind of thing. And so this is the trend of the PPP, where they
Yeah.
put you there and they use you, and when they're finished using you, they dump you in a corner.
Correct.
I
Correct.
ask the question every time I go to the Ministry of Education, the 26 breakdown where the minister's office is. I am looking for the minister's technical assistant. What's her name, Miss Fraser? And I can't see her anywhere around. And
Yeah.
so this is what they do to you. I remember my very good friend, who the two of us shared the titles as president of the Guyana Trades Union Congress, president, first female president and second female president, and you don't hear anything else about Jillian. You don't see Jillian around the PPP
Yeah.
circle. And this is what they do to you all the time. Outside of using you, they look now to instill fear amongst the citizens in this country. So you can't talk up, you can't
Mm-hmm.
like Christopher Jones' post on Facebook, because you got to
Correct.
answer questions, because they're strolling all your Facebook pages.
Yeah.
You can't
Yeah.
like, you can't comment, you can't do anything. And then
Mm-hmm.
they will turn around and say, oh, you're lying. You're lying. But I can tell you it happens in the Ministry of Education. I remember there was a particular officer who liked one of my posts, and immediately she was sent a message by Priya Manik Chand.
Yeah.
Highlight, and it was screenshot to show what she, I think she put a laugh or something,
Mm-hmm.
and that was screenshot and sent to her. So they're instilling fear into the people while they're using some to carry out their dirty work. But we've
Exactly.
got
And we noticed this they're surrogates as well too. They've essentially just removed the veil. You know,
Yep.
some under the guise
Mhm.
of news agencies and
Yes.
publications and so forth. They just remove the guys and just like, listen, these polls showing that we're doing bad, and we gotta cuss anybody who jump up. You hear
And so-
allegations of suddenly people. This
Okay,
is
but
typical.
Chris, you know, and Annette, it's going to get worse. Eh? It's going to
Of
get
course.
worse.
Of
So
course.
Yes, it is.
you and I will have to listen out for when our names will
Yes,
call
yes.
again.
Oh yes, definitely,
Again.
definitely.
Cyberbullying, causing
yeah.
emotional distress, and all. We got to listen.
Barber
out for it.
Barber cheers.
God,
Barber, but don't run.
look, don't worry. We will hear more of it, but we are prepared for it because we understand
Exactly.
that this is how they operate. Especially when the pressure coming down too much of the pipe.
Correct. Annette, welcome
Yes,
back.
you hearing me now?
Loud and clear.
Loud and clear.
To
Thank
fix
you
the
very
problem.
much.
You know it.
Finally.
Yes. Go ahead.
Yes, I am. As I was saying, I was. Though you guys weren't hearing me, I was actually following the conversation, and all that you have shared thus far, I endorsed, because the polls are clear. People don't want the People's Progressive Party civic. And just today I was down in the city, interfacing and engaging different ones. And you know what is the common question? The PPP got to go. We are doing to get rid of the PPP. We fed up.
Mhm.
Where is we 100,000 cash grant? Miss Ferguson, up to now, we receive this 100,000 cash grant. Things in business slow in this country. Nothing really doing for poor people in this country. That is the common concerns of Guyanese out there. But you know what the People's Progressive Party Civic is guilty of? They will come on, the various outlets they have access to, and they will try to paint a picture to glorify that all is going well in this country. Christopher, all cannot be going well in this country when all of the sectors, Coretta, all of the government sectors are
Mhm.
heavily corrupted. People are
Every single
saying, people are on record saying that this is the
one.
worst they have seen the People's Progressive Party Civic. But you know what? Greed. They got tons of money out there. So we gotta gravitate at
Mhm.
all costs because we
Mhm.
don't know whether we will be returning
Yeah.
after the 2025 elections. So they got to make themselves right. You, Coletta, earlier I heard you spoke about the guy who was involved in the 214 million US, of which 211 million US is
Yes.
unaccounted for. The viewers on this platform wouldn't know Christopher and Coletta. That boy, Bobby Gosai, Bobby Gosai, every time he comes to the parliament, I will always torment him. I will always ask him, where is the unaccounted 211 million US dollars? This boy was in the Ministry of Natural Resources. And after the issue uh, came to the public's domain, you heard about an investigation. Then you heard that this guy was sent on administrative leave. Then you heard he was suspended and his salaries were adjusted. Christopher, you would recall. Correct, you would recall, I think when we were examining is either the 2023 or the 2024 budget, we did not see any adjustment in the salaries under the Natural Resource Ministry. And when we asked Vikram Bharat, why is it that this salary, your ministry salary, is still showing based on what was approved the previous year? Because you said publicly that this boy was sent on 3 days sick on 3 days suspension or something to the effect, right? And what we recognize for budget 2025, and even when we had the supplementary provisions in 2024, this boy Gosai seemed to be moving between ministries.
Between.
One time
Mhm.
he's at Ministry of Natural Resources because when Vikram was providing his answers for the 2025 budget, he was supporting Vikram with answers. And then when the minister, when the officer, when the prime minister, sorry, when the prime minister had to give responses to questions on the gas to energy project, that very good side was supporting um, Prime Minister with answers. So
Regular
I
smoke.
had to ask the question, like you walk in between two offices.
Mhm.
One time you're there at Natural Resources, then another time you're here with the Prime Minister. So it is clear when these people do wrongdoings, these people just find ways and means how to push these people and move them from one ministry, the ministry that the actions were done, and place them in other ministry. You would have seen, you would recall the permanent secretary from the Ministry of
I'm
Indigenous
reading
Affairs.
affairs.
Uh-huh. I was just
You know,
going.
remember Miss Hicks? You know, Miss Hicks was charged criminally.
Yes.
After that matter, you know where Miss Hicks is right now? Miss Hicks is at Central Housing and Planning Authority.
Yes. The
That
doctor
is
is
where
there.
she is right now. I think she's probably something to do with the HR, if my memory serves me accurate. Then you have May Toussaint
Mm-hmm.
from the Ministry of Home
Home
Affairs.
affairs. Mm-hmm.
Then what they did, they placed her at Ministry of Labor. Well, now I don't know where she is right now. Probably must be touching in some corner that she cannot be easily identified or easily seen.
Mm-hmm.
But and this matter with Greaves, I believe, though Greaves might have tendered his resignation from CHNPA, there must have Greaves in some crack in one of those ministries because that is the nature of the People's Progressive Party Senate.
To
Rather than
quote,
investigating, rather than investigating, they prefer no the cover and the protect the wrongdoing. And I
uh,
think nothing good will go right in this country, because we must never forget this whole thing stem from the Sugate.
yeah.
This whole thing stemmed from
Mm-hmm.
Jagbio and Sugate, Christopher, since 2022. We're in 2023, February to be exact, when Vice News blew up this thing
Yeah.
about Jagbio and Sue. They ran run out. Oh, he will ensure that an investigation is done. Jagbio run out. He goes sue. Well, up to now, he must be still looking for Sue. to serve suit with the court documents. So this People's Progressive Party Civic should not return to government after the 2025 elections. So the polls ain't telling lies. The
Exactly.
polls are factual.
So
but
watch it.
Annette,
Watch it.
Annette, Chris, before you go there, Annette, you forgot the PS from Human Services. They got her a GRA. You forget
Well,
with
there's
the
the other
pension book. So they're always finding somewhere to dock these people in.
exactly.
Jagdeo said
Exactly.
that last week. Jagdeo said that last week on his Thursday rant. He said that we will protect PPP people. So that's exactly what they're doing. It's kind of Trumpish, but that's another story. So with 5 minutes to the 8 o'clock hour, let me quickly throw 1, 2. We got 4 more answers on the questionnaire. 4 more of 42. This one asks about Melanet. I know this is yours. Number 5 speaks about the cost of living. How would you rate the cost of living in Guyana? 88% of the persons who were surveyed says that it's high, while 12% says it's not an issue. Now, I want to remind the viewers, of which the People's Progressive Party Civic is aware, in the last year, you had several incumbent governments who lost elections. Several incumbents. The incumbents who were able to retain their office were, for example, the president of Mexico and Modi of India. And with Modi, it's now a smaller margin than what he had previously. So all of the incumbents who went to the elections in the last year have all lost those elections, save and except for Mexico and Modi in India. The People's Progressive Party Civic is aware of this, and rightfully so. And all of this is bordering on the fact that the cost of living is extremely high. Ladies, last evening, I went and purchased a loaf of bread from Federal in Queenstown. Then went to Border Market because I just needed to get cucumber and tomato. The cucumber was $100 for 2. Good stuff. The tomato is $500 a pound.
Yes. And
then the lady, when I saw the amount, it's like, because it's literally just for me for some sandwich. So I said, no, that's too much. She said, okay, I could give half pound. I wish it show the half pound. It's 3 little tomato in the thing, a half pound, $150. So even with that, it's like, this will make no sense. I can't for that. Then I purchased some lettuce for $100. And then the lady said, if you give me another 100, I'll give you one of the tomato. If I can run to the kitchen, I will bring that one. So I paid $100 for a tomato. But that was it. I need not to check anything else, because my mother and sister, when they go shopping, they complain of everything. They can't buy oil. They can't buy the basic
things.
It's a fact.
Right. And what upsets you is, like during the debate in the parliament last week, and what upsets you is Prime Minister there on the mic says that the Guyanese people are happy. And then you have the government ministers who are shouting, what is make up stories we got or whatever. But the point is this: none of the ministers go to the market. The ministers don't go to market or supermarket. The ministers' maid or housekeeper go and do the shopping. And in many cases, a lot of the ministers, and this is a fact.
Checks. They sign this.
But not even only they sign a check. This is a fact. There are several supermarkets and businesses are providing food, of which certain ministers can literally just send a vehicle to collect.
Yeah.
They don't have to pay $1. Whether
true.
it is chicken, beef, mutton, fish, aloo, belanje, you name it. All they have to do is send their driver, and the items are loaded. Beverages, spirits, you name it, juice for the children, everything. And it's loaded in their vehicle, and they don't have to pay a single dollar. The taxpayers, that is you out there, You pay for every PPP government ministers, you pay their electricity bill, you pay their phone bill, you pay for their internet. If they are renting or living in a rental house, you pay for that.
That's
the vehicle that they're driving, you bought it for them. The chauffeur that is driving them, you pay that chauffeur, you pay their gardener, you pay all of those for them. So when we in the park, and mind you, because some people believe, oh, well, yeah, MPs is members of parliament.
We got no privilege. We don't have those privilege.
They don't pay light bill, phone bill, internet bill, phone, nothing, right? So I want to disabuse your mind of that. The members of parliament don't get any of those perks. Not to say that we want it, we just don't get it. So don't run away with the fact that because we're MPs, therefore we too have those same benefits. We do not. It is only the government. And that is why when we in parliament and we're putting these stories out there in the parliament, what is happening? And the people say lie because they don't know. Like, for example, I spoke about the dialysis, people who were receiving dialysis. Under the APNU AFC government, dialysis was free. Of cost at any center where dialysis treatments are. When the PPP came into office, they suspended that program and then reintroduced a program which required patients to pay out of pocket $12,000 per session. The average person who does dialysis would need at least 3 sessions per week. $36,000 a week, or $144,000.
Where do you find
a month? How do you find that money? People's salary is not even $144,000.
Tell me about it.
And we said to them that as a result of that, a lot of the patients used to travel. I was told from regions 5, parts of region 4, up to New Amsterdam to the hospital there for dialysis treatment because it was free. Since the service was suspended by the PPP and implemented a new program in which they have to pay $12,000 out of pocket, several of those patients have died because they simply cannot afford it because they're traveling to get up to Berbice. Some may have to go the night before overnight if they don't have family and friends and so forth. So it's costly. And you ask yourself a question, how is it that you are in a country that produces oil? You are in an oil producing country. You have the fastest growing economy in the world. Your health centers and got Panadol. The nurses and doctors at health centers got to fetch bucket of water to flush toilet. The toilets are overflowing.
Like gloves.
Exactly. And you know what the nurses and doctors are doing at those health centers, going in their pocket to purchase gloves and so forth, reminds us of what the teachers do. The teachers do with teachers' aid. And I tell people so many times when I visited Tocqueville Primary School, where Ryan Belgrave was a teacher. And every time when I'm in the class, Ryan calling a student money out of his pocket and the person gonna sometimes even buying lunch for the children. And that is still happening. That is still happening. But the PPP is so out of touch. They have lost touch with people because all they're focusing on is who building the biggest apartment building, who getting the contract, who got the shell company, and the hundreds of millions of dollars that their wife, husband, children, side chick got the shell company, and they collecting this money. And the question we keep asking them, how much is enough?
Exactly. And Christopher, if I may jump in here, you spoke about the shortage in medication and so forth. You know why? Because we approve billions in the National Assembly for the procurement of drugs. You understand me? So what you find happening at many of these public institutions, health institutions, the people themselves, some of them section away the drugs and selling it to this private pharmacy. So when you poor granny go to the doctor and the doctor prescribe that, well, look, she got to get a little Panadol or she got to get a little aspirin and all kind of thing. You go when they visit the pharmacy there at the hospitals, they cannot access those basic drugs.
Correct.
So you now gotta find yourself going into your pocket, right? And go and buy double the price for these free medications that you're supposed to be getting. And Christopher, with 5,000 added to the poor old age pension. You know 5,000 can't buy basic medication.
Exactly.
5,000 can't even carry you to see a doctor, boy.
Correct.
So I don't know which planet on the face of this earth the People's Progressive Party Civic is living in. I know you got 8 planets, but I don't know which one they're
But you see,
really living in.
they're living on the one in which if their parents or their older parents or older siblings or granny or auntie or uncle, if they get ill, all they simply do is send their driver to pick up the granny, the uncle, and carry him or her to doctor, whatever, and they will take care of the bill.
And they take
So,
care of it.
so none of what you've just spoken about, Annette, and none of what you spoke about there, Coretta, and nothing what the Guyanese people have been saying has any impact or resonate with the PPP, because it's like, well, I don't understand what they're talking about. Staff, bring me a drink. You know, I don't know. This one, Annette always talking about what cost of living and them thing. Staff, bring me the medication in the top drawer. Give it to mommy.
Chris, you know, I got a particular minister who would, her lunch would come from Palm Court. The driver goes there and he pick up the lunch, whether she wants salmon or whatever, and it comes there and she pay, and of course the Ministry of it, oh gosh, pay for it. The same
you want me to show you a copy of the bill from Arapaima there on Main Street, where a certain minister who's close in that proximity. You want me to show you the copy of the bill for his breakfast?
I wonder if
you will be shocked.
I know, Chris, that at Arapaima, I've had the opportunity to have breakfast there. Man, they do a story there, so I can understand. That got to be me French. That got to be my French Charles.
I'm just saying within the proximity, you know, but if Chris, you see the cost.
But Chris, before we go there, I gotta come back to go into the market. I am a lover of avocado pear. And Chris, I had to look up and turn my face so.
You got a rich tongue.
I couldn't see myself buying an avocado pear, a little pear, $1,500.
Yes.
$1,500.
The ministers wouldn't know what you're talking about there, Coretta.
A pineapple, $1,000.
The minister just throw away 2 pineapple out of the fridge because they spoil. They ain't use it. Throw that away.
You know, the apples. You can purchase apples, but the fruits that we produce right here, you can't buy them. You check the mangoes.
You say $1,000. You say $1,000 for the avocado. A PPP minister will be like $1,000 an hour. Pineapple, $5,000 an hour. Those are nothing to them. No, but ladies, we're out of time. We're in overtime. Let me just throw the 2 more before the final question that we're going to be sharing tonight. Just a quick recap for those persons viewing the program. We are today revealing a new poll which shows that the People's Progressive Party Civic, once go to the general and regional elections in 2025, are poised to lose those elections. The survey was done across Ghana, and some 15,827 persons were surveyed. Tonight's program, we're just going through 8 of those questions that were asked, and the results of those, there were some 42 questions that were asked. And in subsequent program, we will bring you those questions. So ladies, I'll now go to question number 6. We're only at 6. Do you feel safe? That was a question posed to the 15,827 person. Do you feel safe in Guyana? 67% of the persons surveyed said no, while 33% says yes. Question number 7. This is a big one. Do you trust the current government? 91% of the Guyanese who were surveyed said no. They don't trust the People's Progressive Party Civic, while 9% says yes. Now, I would have loved to be part of a questionnaire like this to ask and just hear when people expound on it. And it stemmed from all what we just said. That they say to you one thing and it's something completely different.
Yep.
Yes.
And it's always that case. And finally, on tonight's program, this question was asked. And this is one of the big ones. I did say this 42, and I saved this one for last. I know the viewers are all right. So this question was asked. If general and regional elections are called in 30 days, would you vote for the PPP? 58% of the persons surveyed said no, while 42% of those surveyed said yes. This is telling. This is telling.
Yep.
This is a survey conducted across Guyana. 15,827 persons were surveyed. Question number 8. If elections was in 30 days, would you vote for the PPP? 58% of those persons surveyed said no, while 42% says yes. Coretta, your closing remarks, and then we'll take Annette.
Well, Chris, I do agree with the persons who had their views counted there. I don't trust the PPP government, because when you look at all of those extrajudicial killings that happened in the 2000s and all that continue to happen now, just as soon as the PPP came into office in 2020, blam, 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 people there, the Henry boys are in Boston, Harish Singh, the Headley boys, what the boy name?
Quindon Bacchus.
Quindon Bacchus. And so many others. So you can't trust them. And yes, if elections were to be in 30 or 33 days, I wouldn't vote for the PPP, because the PPP are just about themselves, their families, and their friends. They make us here feel as if we're not Guyanese. We come from some foreign land. But the foreigners taking over our country. Could you imagine? How can I trust the PPP when we have to import drivers? How can I trust them? How can I vote for them when we have to import drivers? How can I vote for them when my brothers and sisters are working with some of these offshore bases, and they have the same qualification, but they're getting less money? I can't trust them. How can I trust you when you are bulldozing the homes of innocent and ordinary Guyanese, and then you want to turn back and sell the land that you bulldoze them off? I can't trust you and I can't vote for you. So I'm hoping that our people are seeing what they're doing. But like I said earlier, the assault will become even more brutal, because if they could do it to what's his name? Brutus, then you and I are nobody for them to do that to. And citizens, this is the way they're going to instill fear into you. But you know what you have to do. Collect when they come. If they come and bring 400 giant black chickens, collect them. If they come and bring black belly sheep, collect it. If they come to fix your streets and so on, that I see they're busy fixing streets all over the place, take it. It belongs to you. Your money's paying for it, because all the debts that they would have incurred, you, your children, your grandchildren, your great-grand, all of y'all got to pay for it. So take it. It belongs to you.
Excellent. Thank you, Coretta McDonald, AA, Member of Parliament. Annette Ferguson, speak to us.
Yes, Chris. Thank you very much once again for having me on the program. I believe from the extract of the survey, number 8 is indeed telling. Because the margin is very close, 58 as against 42%. So therefore, that means that we have a lot of work to on the.
We got call Edgiller in there. Can they look like blackout for
It looks like black. It looks like blackout. All right, so viewers,
and a third one on the way, and we getting blackout still in this oil-rich economy.
But what I will do, 2 things I will do. Okay, and it looks like she's coming back. And what happened there is blackout.
And that is the bishop fish up with you.
Is it a black? You hearing us? Annette?
Hello?
Yes. You hearing us, Annette?
Hello?
We are hearing you.
We hearing you.
We are hearing you. There you go. Yes.
Sorry about that. You hearing me?
Yes.
Okay, good. So I'm saying to you, Chris, before I was interrupted, that we have to do a lot of work on the ground as leaders to sensitize the people why the People's Progressive Party civic is not deserving of another term because of all the other factors we spoke about: poor health care, poor education, poor infrastructure. But as Coretta rightfully said, the doing your road, the doing your streets, the installing lights, y'all take it because at the end of the day, it is our tax dollars that are using to fund these projects. So for me, Christopher, Guyanese, I believe our people are much smarter now because they have access to the internet. Information is just at the tip of your finger. So soon as you say A, people can now go and research to see whether your A is accurate. And if it's not, they can actually, come to you on that. So I believe our people are much more informed. And yes, we got a lot of work to do. And this, as I said before, this government is not deserving of a second term because the thief in we are money, the thief in everything from we, and the building generational wealth, while we, the average and ordinary people, continue to suffer in this beautiful land that God has blessed us with. So I want to end by saying, Christopher, the writing is on the wall. The writing is on the wall. And from this survey done, it clearly shows that our people are dissatisfied with this corrupt, with this wicked, with this vicious, with this demonic and vindictive People's Progressive Party civic. And they will go, and they must go. Thank you very much, and God richly bless us all.
Thank you very much. All right. Thank you very much, Annette Ferguson and Coretta McDonough. And of course,
Chris,
viewers.
If you were to just read one of the comments that we are seeing there, and this tells you about the PPP. It is saying, I did many years of voluntary community work under the PPP. Yet, as soon as they took office in 2020, they fired me because I worked during the APNU AFC as a member of the PNCR. And so you understand clearly, this is the vindictive beast that we're dealing with. Yeah. Vote them out.
And Christopher, if I can supplement to what Coretta just said, I know of an individual, well qualified, was working at one of the state institutions. A young man from 2020 to now, that guy cannot find not one job.
Wow.
He has been blacklisted. So another 5 years of this wicked regime, it is just going to make things worse for us. This would no longer be a Guyanese with 6 races nation. They want to make this nation into a one nation, It's only the Indians can benefit. So, no, we got to let these people go. They must go.
Yeah. All right. So thank you again, ladies. 2 last points there. One person saying, Jamal Aziz is saying on elections they vote the PPP out. And a question was asked about the $100,000 cash grant. And of course, those questions continue to linger. On tonight's program of Whip-Lash, we were reviewing the results of a new poll, which shows that the PPP, the People's Progressive Party civic, once they go to the general and regional elections in 2025, are poised to lose those elections. And we were going through some of the questions that were asked. Amongst them include, but not limited to, question number 8. If elections were to be held in 30 days, would you vote for the PPP? In which 50... to visit Village Voice, the news carrier. And of course, on today's article, Village Voice carried a story with Guyana's population, approximately 750,000 people. And the voters list currently has a population of 738,484 eligible voters. Something is wrong. The People's Progressive Party civic continue holding on to the census of the 2022 census. And of course, this has now prompted opposition civil society calls for a new voters list. And of course, those calls continue. My name is Christopher Jones. Thank you very much for joining me on tonight's program of Whip-Lash. Look forward to seeing you again on Thursday at 7 p.m., in which I will be joined by Mr. Elson Lowe, hopefully former Minister of Finance, Mr. Winston Jordan, and we will go through the other survey questions that were asked in the survey that revealed the People's Progressive Party Civic is poised to lose the 2025 general and regional election. Until Thursday, have a pleasant rest of your evening. Goodbye for now.